All right, here we go.
How we doing?
Outsider podcast. You sure you want to do this? Last chance. Doors right there.
I'm good. I'm all in. Burn the ships.
I haven't done a podcast in a while since we kind of ended mine. So this is gonna be fun. We're doing an Outsider podcast. It's gonna be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We'll have some stuff on our Instagram. We'll have stuff on outsider.com. I'm Jay Cutler. This is Sam Mackey, CEO of Outsider. What is Outsider in your mind, so that we can give the audience a little bit of a overview, 10,000 feet?
Absolutely. So Outsider is a outdoor lifestyle brand for the weekend warrior, not the avid ice climber and or extreme athlete, just anyone that wants to get outside, enjoy a beer on a patio, go on a hike. Maybe you're going hunting for the first time with a friend or fishing with a friend. Just put an emphasis on get outside, get off the couch.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And I think we've talked about this, but like this podcast, we want it to be kind of ever evolving, but we don't want to restrict ourselves. Like, we want to talk about food. We want to talk about health. We want to talk about, anything and everything under the sun, really.
Correct.
Fashion.
Yep.
You've been rocking those shoes for a while. Those are your jams.
My kids beat me up too. They just step on them and everything. So I'm going to give a shout out to these Air Jordans. I mean, they're built to last. Look good with everything I wear every day.
He's got a good product going.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm excited just to have good guests on, have good conversation, relatable, authentic conversation, hear funny stories, and just get to know really cool, interesting people and listen to their stories.
Are you nervous that thing's so close to your head? Have you even noticed it?
Yes, I have, and unlike you, I'm not scared of animals. No, it doesn't bother me. I kind of like it.
I don't know how I feel about it. Okay, well, I think we probably need to get to know who you are, your story, which is Navy SEAL for 20 years. I've known Sam for, gosh, how long has it been now?
About 13 years or so.
For a long time. Recently retired.
Very recently.
Very recently retired. So you're just a normal, average Joe like the rest of us now.
I'm just living. No one's telling me what to do.
Where'd you grow up?
Besides everyone in my house. Central Illinois. Okay. So I was born in Champaign, Urbana, and lived there until I was about, after the first grade, but we lived in a small farmhouse. I think we had on about 40 acres of woods or so. It was in a little park called Valentine's Park in a small town called Monticello, Illinois, and went to kindergarten and first grade there. We lived there because my father was in the Coast Guard and then had a break-in service when he went to school. And he was going to U of I at nighttime, and during the day he was working at a steel mill in Champaign, and called Clifford and Jacobs. And then he was a sheriff for a little bit. And then after he finished his degree, he got commissioned and went back to active duty in the Coast Guard. And he got stationed in St. Louis, Missouri at Scott Air Force Base. So
is Coast Guard in St. Louis?
It's mighty Mississippi. You know what I mean?
I guess so. I guess someone's got to protect Mississippi.
Those riverboats, they get wild. They're real western on those things. But lived there through the fourth grade, or up until the fourth grade, so it was about 3 years, and then moved to Northern California, just north of San Francisco, a town called Novato, because he was stationed at Alameda, which is in Oakland. And there's a couple ships there. So basically did most of my growing up in Northern California, because he would go from ship to shore and so on and so forth. So we were, as a military brat, lucky in that regards. We didn't have to move around too much. And as a young kid,
Brothers, sisters?
Yes, I have an older brother and an older sister. So I'm the baby.
Makes sense.
The cherished one. I don't even know why I said that. But so then did most of my growing up in Northern California. I boxed my whole life, played 1 year of football. I got a couple looks, but.
What age did you start boxing?
Fourth grade.
How? I feel like that's a you don't just stumble into boxing.
That's exactly how it happened.
Really?
Actually, there was a boxing gym about a mile or so from my house, and I was riding my bike and saw the sign for it and just walked in.
Really?
Yeah. And
Did you watch boxing on TV or something?
No.
Was Tyson
I think
around that time?
I think it was the Tyson Holyfield, Oscar De La Hoya was real big.
Yep. Roy Jones Jr.
Oh yeah, animal.
Yep.
So got into that and did that competitively my whole life, and that was my life goal to be a pro
boxer.
Yeah, I actually contemplated the idea of going down to Mexico because you can get your pro card at 16.
Really?
Yeah, so I start fighting and making money. But
is that headgear then?
Yeah, correct. You fight in amateur boxing. You fight 2 3-minute rounds with headgear, and I think you wear 12-ounce gloves if I remember correctly.
Heavier.
Yeah. So did that all growing up.
Were you good?
Yeah, I was decent. Yeah. I could fight.
I believe that.
Dude, my bar fight record's through the roof, but I always throw the first punch, so that helps.
You ended early.
Yeah. But I've had my ass kicked before too, so it's humbling. It's good for you every now and again. But did that, and then found myself in a little bit of trouble in high school, and I was selling weed, marijuana, devil's lettuce to friends. And
hell, it's legal at halfway everywhere now at this point.
This is in California too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So found myself in juvenile hall and
what age?
17.
17.
Yeah. I was working at the Gap with a buddy.
How much weed were you selling?
Well, first of all, I'm a good guy. I'm going to preface this story with that. So I was working at the Gap, and my manager, who was older than me, he said his friend wanted an ounce to go to Tahoe for the weekend.
Time out. What were you doing at the Gap? Were you folding clothes? Were you working the register?
So it started off as they hired me to...
You stumble into a boxing gym, and then you stumble into a Gap, and you're like, let me work here? I don't understand.
Not many women in the boxing gym. There's a lot of them at the mall when I was in high school. So I was perusing the mall one day, and I walked through, and I saw the Gap was hiring. And so they hired me and my friend to essentially just stand in the front of the store as, like a theft prevention deal, And so I was a greeter / making sure people didn't.
I don't think I've ever admitted this or ever told anybody this, but I worked at Abercrombie for maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Some people can't handle commercial retail.
It was not for me. I was just, I couldn't afford the clothes for shit.
You didn't have one of those boards that they...
I didn't try that hard.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Like I was like, I don't know what I was doing there, but it didn't last very long.
What made you apply?
My buddy, we were just trying to make some money during the summer in college. So like we weren't trying to really work. Just some bar money. And my buddies
this is in college.
Yeah. This is freshman year.
Here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Where was this Abercrombie store at?
I think it's the Cool Springs Mall here, like right down the road. And I think my buddy's sister was a manager, so she kind of hired me. And I mean it just wasn't, no.
Did you just not show up for a shift, or how'd that end?
I'm just like, I'm done here. So I won't be back. Fill my role with nobody because I didn't do anything. It didn't matter. They're like, oh, see you later.
So I was an employee of the month, but I was a cherished employee at the Gap. At I forget what the hell the mall is called. But no, so I stood out in front for making sure people didn't walk out with stacks of clothing, and then started working the cash register. I worked my way up through the ranks. And then my manager said his buddy was going to Tahoe and needed an ounce of weed. So I said, hey, no problem. And I went and I met him in a movie theater parking lot. And as soon as I walked up, I knew it was bad, right? He had a High Times magazine in the center console. I just didn't listen to my gut, though. And,
no one else around.
Yeah. And
middle of nowhere.
Correct. Yeah, middle of the day.
Sketchy.
But I went to get $300 for $300. I'm saying.
Sure.
And so I sold him a I think it was 31 or 32 gram ounce. So fat ounce because there's 28 grams an ounce. So I was hooking this guy up.
Never was a drug dealer.
And hang around, I'll teach you a thing or two. And then a fast forward about 3 weeks later or so, I'm in history class and my vice principal walks in with a cop and says my name.
Can't be good.
No, it wasn't. So then go to the principal's office. They talk to me for a long time. They're asking me questions. Of course, I'm giving them the runaround or not answering.
Sure.
And then it dawns on me. I'm like, hey, don't you have to read me my rights or my parents have to be here?
Something.
And then the guy's face dropped a little bit. And I said, am I going to jail? He said, yeah. I said, well, let's go. So went to juvenile hall, and thankfully there was a guy that I knew, or kid that I used to hang out with, that his cell was right across the way. So we chatted up. You know, I wasn't there long enough to learn any signs.
How did you get busted?
My manager that hooked me up to sell weed to this guy worked at the DA's office. It was an undercover cop, and because this guy was he worked at the Gap, but he was moonlighting at the DA. Doing what, I don't know, but he was affiliated with them somehow and thought he would get some kudos if he threw me under the bus.
So this guy set you up?
Yeah, big time.
Gosh.
I don't even know how it starts. Like, you walk in the office like, hey, I know a guy that peddles dime bags. Let's hook him.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
But so after that, my dad got stationed up in Seattle, Washington. And we lived on a little island called Bainbridge Island, cool little island. And Dad worked right across the sound, so he'd take a ferry over every day to go to work. It was beautiful. And realized that I needed a change. And I was still on probation. I was on probation for 2 years. They took my license and everything. So it was pretty shitty, you know, being a senior in high school and not having a driver's license and all of that. And so I decided to join the Navy, or the military. And
what was the option? Was there option B?
no, there really wasn't. You know,
Just option A. We're going.
I thought I had some option Bs lined up. I wanted to box at Notre Dame, but then I didn't get good enough grades. I got expelled from school my junior year, so that wasn't going to happen. So first, I walked into the Army recruiter because my brother was in the Army, and I wanted to be Special Forces. And those guys, I just didn't get a good vibe from them. They could have sold me if they had a good salesman back there.
Yeah.
You know, but then. You know,
you walked in like wanting to sign up. Like,
I
come
did.
on, guys.
Yeah. Then I, couldn't help but think of the greatest, piece of cinematography ever written. This movie Navy SEAL. the movie Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen, and how realistic and
you're like, hell with it. I'm going to be a SEAL.
That's what happened.
Me and Charlie Sheen.
Mm-hmm. And so walked into the Navy recruiter and told them what I wanted. They said, okay.
You have to go through basic first and all that stuff
Correct.
Before you.
Yep. So I waited, 5 months or so. Went to boot camp. Went to A school. So
What's A school?
A school is where you get your rate. So it's a trade school essentially.
Okay.
That school teaches you the job that you're going to do in the Navy.
Which was what did you?
Mine was a master at arms, and a master at arms like a cop, like a gate guard. And I don't know why I chose that. Probably because it was the shortest A school, or one of the shortest,
Makes
I'm
sense.
not too sure where my thought process was on that one. And then after A school, you get to go to BUDS. But first in boot camp, you have to pass a physical test, and then that activates your BUDS contract. So then you can go to BUDS after your A school.
So do you have to do a certain level on that physical test to be even considered for BUDS? Or
nowadays you do.
Okay.
Back then they were just letting anybody.
Like, you want to give it a go? Come on, let's see.
Yeah, back then is before SEALs got real popular, and it was just a physical test wasn't much. I want to say it was something to the effect of like 6 or 7 pull-ups, 50 sit-ups, 60 push-ups. You have to run 1.5 miles in under 10:30 and swim like 500 meters in under like 11 minutes or something of that nature.
I might have that in me right now. The swimming part might be a little bit difficult.
You think you can run 1.5 miles in 10:30 right now?
1.5 miles in 10:30?
I mean, you smoke cigars like they're fucking Newports.
Yeah, but you don't inhale those. I'll tell you what.
You walk fast though.
I do walk fast, and every time I'm out in the mountains and we're like hunting out there, and in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm gonna die because these cigarettes, or these not these cigarettes, these cigars. But just trucking along, I'm like, I think I'm good.
Yeah. I mean,
They said Michael Jordan would smoke like 3 a day.
I bet he still does.
I bet he smokes 10 a day now.
You are probably the fastest walking human being I have ever came across.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's like a bud shuffle. Like I can shuffle my feet and pretend I'm running to keep up with
I
you.
don't have like I have a really, I've got, what do I have? I've got I've got a long torso and shorter legs. So I don't really know how I walk fast. I just do.
You just move them quicker than I do.
Yeah. I just got places to go. So you sign up for buds.
Yep. So
Do you train for that? I mean,
yeah.
So do you have like a mentor that you hooked up with? Like someone is like, hey, this is what you have to do?
No.
Or you're just in the backyard holding your breath underwater?
That's exactly what I was doing. I watched the Buds Class 2, 3, 4 videos on the Discovery Channel. So before I went, I was, practically a Navy SEAL.
Pretty much.
I saw it all on the Discovery
and you've
Channel.
watched the movie 15 times. So.
More than that. Yeah. So show up to A school, and our boot camp was horrendous.
Well, I feel like we know a lot more about SEALs now than we did, 20 years ago whenever you went in. Like, I think it was still like this mysterious, like there's undercover, like you're not for sure what the hell those guys were doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and there wasn't much information on the training pipeline besides that Discovery Channel video.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's people that make workouts for you and everything like that. But I was just winging it. And
none of the water part was a problem for you in your head going into it?
No, that was my strongest part.
Really?
Yeah. I swam on the swim team when I was a little kid, but I never swam competitively or anything like that. But I've just always been really comfortable in the water.
That's where I would ring the bell.
You're not a good swimmer, or you're just not a big fan of the water?
Oh, I can swim.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of the water. Like the whole drowning part is a problem for me.
You have so much time before something you have like 3 minutes. I bet
it's not very long. I mean, watch the clock. 3 minutes, we go on here in a second. So you go into it. You know anybody else in your class at that point? Or?
Nope.
No.
Yep. So I go to boot camp and make it through boot camp, and I got off the bus in boot camp, and I'd made some bad decisions in my life, but I got off that bus. I'm like, this tops it.
Where was it at?
Great Lakes, Illinois.
I know exactly where that is.
And I showed up January 27th.
It's a balmy 12 degrees out.
At the most.
And gray.
Oh, it was horrible.
And it's right up there off the lake. It's windy.
I got off that bus. Everyone's yelling at you, and you're standing in line. I'm like, man, I fucked up.
Yeah, we needed a plan B.
Yeah. But you can get used to anything. So you got used to it. It was no drama. Made it through boot camp. You get out of shape in boot camp.
Really?
Yeah. Because you're in there, they have to cater to the lowest common denominator, right? There's kids there that are real out of shape that just want to go, be on a ship and do whatever it is you do on those. And so go through boot camp, then get to A school. A school was pretty anticlimactic. That was in San Antonio, Texas. So we got to go down the river walk, on the weekends and things of that nature. Then show up to Buds after that. And that was... it was
West
intimidating.
Coast?
Yeah, San Diego.
Yeah.
In Coronado. Because I never met a Navy SEAL before in my life, or let alone seen one. So show up to Buds, and then you start what's called NDOC. It's about 5 weeks before Buds starts. And then after NDOC, you lose people in NDOC because you have to take tests every day, then you...
Tests on like...
Physical tests.
Okay.
Running, swimming, the O course, things of that nature. And then
So people are getting kicked out before they even get into the actual program.
Correct. Yeah, you have to take that screening test again multiple times. And then you start Buds, and it's called your class up day, I believe it's called. And that's the week 1 of first phase. And we had people quitting before the day even started. So we're like lined up there on the grinder waiting for the day to start. And the anticipation was just too much for some cats.
I'm sure the anxiety was through the roof. And they're just like, nope.
I was a little too curious to quit. Like, how bad is this really going to suck?
No kidding.
But So then you started buds and made it through Hell Week, and then after Hell Week, I failed a run, so I got rolled.
Rolled means
You have one class roll. I think there's maybe like 8 weeks in between classes or something like that. So you go to what's called brown shirt rollback lane because you wear a white shirt before Hell Week and you wear a brown shirt after Hell Week, just so the instructors can tell and everyone can tell who's been through Hell Week and who hasn't, right?
gotcha.
And so I was in brown shirt rollback land, and because I failed a run, but I failed a run because I had a hurt foot. I don't want to go into some sob story. Had my roll, it was, and I thought I was going to get a 2-class roll, so essentially like a 16-week roll. So 8 weeks to heal and 8 weeks to get back in shape. But I didn't class back up, failed a run, and got kicked the fuck out.
They booted you.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, and it was horrible.
I bet.
Yeah, because you have to go live with all the people that quit.
Ugh.
So I mean,
Were you close on the run?
yeah, oh yeah,
Mile and a half?
4 boots and pants.
That sucks.
Yeah,
That's a long way to go.
it's a haul, And I don't know who's measuring that 4 miles, but I think it's a little further than 4 miles. And,
on the beach?
Yep.
Oh God.
Yeah. And you start in Coronado and you run north down to North Island, which is another base down there, right in front of the Hotel Del, and all down that way, and then turn around and come back. So yeah, I got dropped, and it was, I was trying to dispute it the best I could because I got told I got a medical role, but on paper it was a performance role. It is what it is, and I went to Sigonella, Italy, for about a year and a half, where I was stationed as a master at arms gate guard.
I'm sure you were guarding a lot of things.
Not a fucking thing. Every day was the worst day of my life. I got put on night shift with a buddy. So that was nice. You didn't have to deal with that many people.
Yeah.
But you get the early morning traffic, and we worked 12-hour shifts. So every other weekend we had a 4-day weekend. It was like a 3-2-2-3 or something like that. So we did a shit ton of traveling. Saw all of Europe, and me and my buddy Ryan, we'd just get online and see where the cheapest Ryanair flight was going out of Catania and hop on that
Jump
for the
on it
weekend.
and
Yeah,
just go?
just go stay at the cheapest hostel and met a lot of cool people and did a lot of traveling.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Made the
was
most
all
of
right.
it.
And then got orders back to Buds, luckily.
What do you mean? Luckily, so you were like, hey, I want to go back to Buds.
Correct.
And they I guess look at your overview and like, hey, we'll give another shot or no.
Correct.
Got it.
You have to. It's performance based, but then also how I performed as a gate guard. Because my boss had to let me go, and I had a couple bumps in the road right there, to say the least. So I wasn't gonna go, or they weren't gonna let me go. I got orders to Tinker Air Force Base. I think it's in Oklahoma, to go stand the gate there.
You're on the path to just be a gate guard.
I was gonna get out of the Navy and just go seek a horrible life elsewhere. And then I
Also, don't mind me. I'll have like 4 different drinks during this thing.
I'm
cold
just curious
brew.
curious what you have going on over here.
Cold brew. I got some Kill Cliff. I got a green juice. I got a water. Just gotta stay hydrated.
I have 1 cup of black coffee. I haven't been hydrated in 24 years.
I burnt my nose got burnt this weekend in the sun, so I'm trying to.
I don't feel bad for you.
You don't?
No, not at all.
All right, so you get kicked back to Buds.
Yep. So I got a new boss right at the very end. He hooked me up and helped me get orders back to Buds.
Got it.
So go back to Buds and class up with class 266 and make it right through.
Are we running more this time, or we trained?
Doing a lot of running,
Yeah.
a lot of swimming,
Yeah.
and working out with one of my best friends who wanted to go to Buds also.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we got in a lot of trouble right before we were going to go to Buds.
Seems to be a theme here.
And so he had to go to the fleet for 2 more years.
Oh shit! Yeah. Really?
I think he went to like Diego Garcia or like Kuwait, or they sent him somewhere bad.
Poor dude.
But he ended up making it to Buds, and he's still a SEAL right now. He's actually about to retire.
There you go.
Go back to Buds, make it straight through with class 266, and then end up on the East Coast at SEAL Team 8. So did most of my career at SEAL Team 8, bounced around a little bit at Training Command, SEAL Team 4, did a deployment with 10, and a little bit of a deployment with Team 2. And then that took up the majority of the 20 years I was in.
It's a long time to be in. 20 years is a long time.
Went by fast. The last 4, I mean, at my 16-year mark,
Yeah.
Everything just came to a screeching
Yeah,
halt.
crawling them.
Yeah.
You guys probably weren't as busy then either.
No, that's why it all slowed down. The first handful of years, we were deploying at Team 8. We were deploying every year.
Really?
Yeah, and I did 2 in 1 year. We came home from Iraq after 6 months in September, then redeployed to Afghanistan in like March time frame, maybe May, somewhere in there, and then that's when we surged Afghanistan in 2011. I met you right after that deployment.
Yeah. In Chicago, you came to Chicago.
Yeah.
Gave us on Saturday. Someone kind of speaks, if it's a player, if it's a coach, or if there's a special guest, and you came in and talked. Hit it off after that.
Now, did you know I was coming in? Did Frank tell everybody?
Frank, I mean, he told a handful of people during the week that you were coming in, and then you obviously talked, and then I talked to you afterwards, and then we just kind of hit it off, and you were busy and I was busy, so text every once in a while, and then Frank would always kind of give me some updates too if he heard anything.
Now, a little context for everyone listening. Frank Smith was the tight end coach at the Bears when Jay was a quarterback there, and now is offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Absolutely killing it. Frank and I were friends. We met on a golf course, and Frank had me up to talk to the tight ends. I didn't know anybody else was coming.
Right.
I thought it, and then the quarterbacks and the kickers walked in.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
We just had a texting relationship for years.
Yeah.
Just.
Because you were gone a lot.
Yeah, mainly over hunting. I remember just jonesing on deployment and texting you and saying, "Hey, are you in the tree stand? Have you seen anything? Do you have any hunts lined up? I mean, just lie to me. Tell me something.
Give me something. Give me something to get through this."
Yep. And so let's back it up a tad bit. Learn a little bit about Jay Cutler growing up. So I know were you born in Santa Claus?
No, I was born in Georgia, actually.
Oh, the Sunshine State.
Yeah, beautiful. My dad was in the Army down there.
What do you do in the Army?
MP.
Me and Jack.
Yeah.
Just guarding gates.
Just guarding gates. But my parents were originally from Indiana, northern Indiana. So he wanted to be a state trooper. So went down there for 3 years. They came back up, and they were from northern Indiana, up by Chicago, and he got stationed down out of Jasper, Indiana. That was his post. So we were in southern Indiana. 2 younger sisters, and then just kind of lived there and started playing soccer and baseball and basketball whenever I was 5 or 6, and never really stopped. And started playing football in tackle. Flag was 4th, tackle was 5th.
Started playing tackle football in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
Do they do that anymore?
Oh yeah, they start. My little cousins are playing, or my nephews are playing at 4th, 3rd grade. I mean, they're starting. Everyone starts early now. There's a couple leagues here in town that, I mean, 3rd, 4th grade, which I don't know. I'm kind of.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Camden, he's going to be in 6th grade next year. He wants to play, but he's not the biggest guy out there. So I bought him a helmet, and this spring we're going to go out there. I'm going to be like, all right, like this is what this is like. Put on your shoulder pads, your helmet, run around. It's not like flag football where you're just occasionally, like, there's going to be a kid out there that's going to be bigger, faster, and stronger at 6th grade. Already hit puberty.
So are you going to just give him some whaps, or like?
First I'm going to be like, all right, let's put the helmet on. Like, the helmets suck,
Mm-hmm.
especially at that age, because their necks are tiny, and then they're just it's bobbleheads. So I'm like, all right, let's put on the helmet, let's throw some passes, and like, let's stay out there for an hour. Like, keep the helmet on for an hour.
And you guys play ball all the time.
Oh yeah. And so we'll see what happens. Jackson wants to do it too, so I don't know. It's just one of those things that, if you do throw them out there, the chance of them being successful is, marginally. I mean,
Yeah.
50-50, you never know.
I'd say less than 50-50.
Yeah, but the chance of them like getting smacked and like not wanting to do it anymore is pretty great.
Yeah.
Just is.
So you started playing tackle football.
5th grade. Didn't really like the contact much at all. I was like, let me just run away or go out of bounds. But then like towards the end of that year, like I started realizing, all right, if you just run faster and hit them harder, you don't feel it.
Very true.
Like you just got to run through people. You just got to go fast. And so it started clicking a little bit. All right, like that's how you hit people. This feels a lot better when you go about it that way, instead of running around and trying not to get hit. Like just inflict the force.
Yeah.
Like you'll be fine. So that's when it started clicking. But I didn't really love football at that age. I loved basketball. I played more baseball than anything. I played baseball all summer long.
What position?
Shortstop. But it probably wasn't until like my sophomore, junior year that I was like, all right, like I love football. Like this is everything else. I'm just playing just to pass the time.
2 questions. Was Ozzie Smith a big role model yours being shortstop? I always wanted to play shortstop as a kid, or when I was a real little kid, when I played baseball.
I liked Ozzie,
Smith.
but I was a Cubs fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Ryan Sandberg,
Okay.
Sean Dunston, that group of guys.
Okay. I grew up a Sox fan.
White Sox?
Yeah,
They might be coming to Nashville.
I hope so.
It'd be awesome.
So, second question. When did you start playing quarterback?
I was my 5th grade year. I wanted to be a running back. So you had to go to tryouts. We played in Evansville. It was like an hour away. Me and 2 other kids. And since we were carpooling, we all had to be on the same team. So they do like this like mini combine type of thing. All the coaches can watch. Like, you throw, you run, like for the new kids. And
Is there kids that didn't make the team?
no, I think everyone, I don't know. I will tell a really bad story.
I love bad stories.
We all go to we're on the Cowboys. First day, like come pick out your jerseys. I'm like, I want to be a running back. So I'm looking at the 20s. I think I get like 24 or something. And we're like throwing, just kind of warming up, messing around. And the other kid who was a quarterback last year, I'm throwing with him. And the coach was named Joe Sharp. I will never forget this guy for the rest of my life. And he's over there talking to my dad. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Comes over and he's like, you're going to play quarterback. I'm like, nah. I came here to play running back. Nope, you're quarterback. Go get a different jersey. I'm like, you're kidding me. Trudge back over there. I'm like, Dad, like he told me how to play quarterback. He's like, yeah, you're playing quarterback. I'm like, no, I don't want to play quarterback.
So Jack is a mastermind
Yeah,
behind
he's
all
pulling
this.
the strings back there. And so I'm quarterback, and it obviously goes well. But that year, the quarterback of the year before, they put him at running back and linebacker. Tough kid, but our coach didn't think he was tough enough, so he put a pacifier on his helmet.
Instead of a mouth guard.
He had a pacifier on his helmet for, I bet.
I've seen a lot of football, and I've seen a lot of hazing, and I haven't seen those 2 things combined.
It gets worse.
Oh, I love this.
It gets worse.
Excited.
So he had it on
Excited.
had it on for like a week, and this coach, he'd be in jail after what I tell you. And I mean, it's toward the end of one of the practices, towards the end of the week, and we got a game coming up, and he wants to graduate this kid from his pacifier. So he takes the biggest, hardest hitting kids we have, has them like 10 yards away.
5th grade.
5th grade. Takes the kid with the pacifier and makes him stand. Makes him stand like this. And these kids ran as hard as they could and just hit him. Like 5 times in a row. Just get up, smoked. Get up.
This coach clearly
smoked.
did not like this kid.
No, but the kid was tough. I mean, I liked the kid. I mean, he was a good little football player. So this kid, I mean, the parents are sitting there watching this stuff. Like the rest of the players, I'm watching. Is like, what are we doing here? And so
Living pretty free in Santa Claus, Indiana.
gosh.
Anything goes.
Kid gets smoked 5 times, gets back up, takes off the pacifier, like gives him a hug, gives him a mouthpiece, like you're back.
Really?
It's like this is some psycho ass shit right here.
I love it.
So we went to the championship, lost in championship, but it was wild times. So then I played 6th grade. I played in a different league that was a little bit closer to home, and then 7th grade we had our own like little middle school team.
And was that 7th grade through high school?
Yeah.
Or through 9th grade? Nice. And quarterback the whole time?
Yeah, then as a freshman, we played on the JV team. And then my sophomore year, I was playing DB, and then the quarterback got hurt, like game 3 or something. We lost. My high school was not used to losing. Like it was a program.
Really?
Yeah. And
what high school was that?
Heritage Hills High School in Southern Indiana. Bob Clayton was a coach for like 25 years. Like won like I don't know how many games, a lot of games. And so we weren't used to losing. So that quarterback got hurt, and then they put me in at quarterback. And I mean, we started winning, and we won state my senior year. But Bob was like Joe Sharp. I mean, there were no pacifiers, but you were getting screamed at. I mean, it just is what it was.
Now,
and we were a damn track team. We ran so much.
Really?
Oh my gosh! After practice every day, running. In the summers, we had a huge like off-season workout program. No, I was like, I'm playing baseball.
Now I'm picturing something out of like Varsity Blues, or it's some rowdy kids, and the coach is just in that ass all the time.
Oh, all the time, screaming at us.
Really?
We had this stupid ass. Like it was. I've never seen it before in my life, but it was a snapper. So if you didn't have a center, and it was like this. It looked like it was like this big metal thing, and it had like a pad, and you put the ball down, it was like spring loaded, and you had to like snap it up. I couldn't use it. For some reason, like I just couldn't make the damn thing work. And I remember getting screamed at that. I mean, over and over again. Like when I was first starting at quarterback, and I was like, this isn't going to work. I'm not even, I mean, I'll just go back to DB. Like this is stupid. But we figured it out.
So when in your high school career did you realize you had a shot to play in college?
Probably junior year.
Were people approaching you? Or your coach saying things like, how's all that work?
That's back whenever like you just got letters in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to, that was like VHS. So you had to like kind of make your own like highlight tape and then like send them off to schools.
Really?
So my dad did a lot of it. The AD, he helped a lot. But like Rivals was just now kind of getting on the radar, rivals.com.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of actually, Shane and Terry, who helped start Outsider, he started that company, and it was just kind of getting the ball rolling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, being in like a small cornfield town in Santa Claus, Indiana, like you didn't get a lot of looks. Like we had people that had gone to college, but nothing, a couple Purdue, some small schools, Ball State and stuff, but getting noticed on like a bigger level was hard. Camps, I went to some camps. Those were just kind of getting started a little bit. Like there was no 7-on-7 camps. There was none of that stuff that there is now. And so we did a bunch of videos. Illinois was interested. Purdue was interested. But I played DB too. They were more interested, I think, in DB. Indiana was a little interested, but they were going a lot of JUCO kids.
What's that mean?
They were getting kids from junior colleges.
Okay, gotcha.
So 2 guys that have been in JUCO for 2 years, they were bringing them in, trying to jumpstart their teams a little bit. It was like Christmas break. I was playing basketball, and I still had nowhere to go. I was like, I guess I'm just gonna, play baseball somewhere, or do something, because there weren't a lot of Plan Bs. Like there wasn't a Plan B. It was one of the sports. It was all I had, and so I'm in class. And I got a basketball game that night, and I hear like over like the intercom, Jay Keller, please go down to the athletic director's office. I'm like, his name was Jay too. I'm like, what does Jay want? Go down there, and he's on the phone. He's like, I mean, this is like the rotary phones.
Yeah.
He's on the phone. He's like, hey, Vanderbilt wants to talk to you. I'm like, I have no idea where Vandy is. Zero clue. Like, I'm a Notre Dame fan and a Big Ten fan. Like, we didn't like the SEC. You knew about the SEC, but didn't know about Vandy. And the coach is like, hey, I've been watching your tape. You know, I don't think you can play tight end in the SEC. Like, well, perfect. I don't even play tight ends. He's like, who is this? And I tell him my name. He's like, where's school? I'm like, tell him, like, play quarterback. He's like, I can hear him like shuffling around. He's like, oh, here, I found your tape. He goes, I'm gonna watch it. I'm like, yeah, okay.
So he throws it in the VCR real
So
quick.
he's like, I'll call you back. I hang up and I tell Jay the AD, I'm like, I'm going back to class. He's not calling back. It wasn't an hour later. Intercom again. Go back down there. He's like, they want to talk to you.
Now, do people in your class know what's going on? Like, he's getting looks. Are you like the man in high school, being the QB1, getting some looks?
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't really talk about it with anybody, I don't think. I mean, I think they...
Shocker.
I think they thought I was going to go to college, but no one knew really where. So, go back down there. Ray Zingler was his name. Can't believe I just came up with that one. He's on the phone. And he's like, hey, you know, Woody Woodenhofer was the coach. They had an older staff, like a lot of pro coaches that were on this staff.
At Vanderbilt?
At that time, yeah. Greg Zolman was the quarterback then. And so they were like, hey, we all looked at it. We want to offer you a scholarship. And I'm like, cool. I got to talk to A, I got to figure out where Vandy is. B, I got to talk to my dad. You know, I got a basketball game tonight. You know, can I think about it? They're like, no, we need to know by 5. I'm like, what?
Just putting the screws to you.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this? And they're like, well, we have another commitment that we're expecting. Like, but if you take it first, like, we can tell them we're full. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I look at.
Do you think there was any truth to that? Or do you think they were just trying to get an answer out of you?
I don't know. No, it was late in the year. So
yeah, okay.
there was late in the so they were filling up fast. Like, I was one of the last commitments that they had. And you only get so many. I think we had 25 in our class, 24, 25. And so I look at Jay and I'm like, I got to go home. I got to figure this out. He's like, go. I leave school. I go home. And that's like the dial-up internet time. So, you know,
old AOL.
making all these noises and we only had one line. So I was trying to call my dad.
2002?
This is 2000.
2000, okay.
And so I'm like looking up Vandy, Nashville, not that far away. It looks cool. Private school. They get the shit kicked out of them in football all the time. Like, sounds great. So I called my dad. I'm like, hey, Vandy offered. He's like, what? I go, Vanderbilt made an offer. He goes, like a full ride? I'm like, yeah. He goes, call him back. I go, for what? He goes, tell him you're coming. I'm like, I go, Dad, I don't even know where. He goes, call them back right now and tell them you're coming. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yes, you're going to that school. And I'm like, whatever, man. So I called up the AD. I go, I guess tell him I'm coming. So
I'm coming.
Yeah. So he called him up, and then I called him when I got back because we had a basketball game. Got back to the gym for the basketball game, and got me on the phone. I was like, yeah, send it over the paperwork. I'm in. And they're like, all right, cool. So then the next week after I already committed, I went down for a official visit, and I mean had a lot of fun. And then 4 years later.
So what year did you starting? Did you start your freshman year?
Redshirted my freshman year.
Okay.
And then started 4 years after that.
Okay. So you played all 4 years?
Yep.
What'd you get your degree in?
Oh, gosh. That's another good story. So like human organizational development.
I could have guessed that.
Yeah. It was like there's like the Peabody track and then the other track. This was supposed to be the easiest way.
Peabody?
Yeah. It wasn't that easy. I mean, we also didn't really do much either. So then my true senior year in class, I'm on schedule to graduate, but I'm coming back for I'm coming back for the fall semester to play football. But I'm scheduled to graduate. And I don't want to graduate because then I have to go to grad school. I got to do something if I still want to play football. So I come up with this grand idea that I'm just going to fail classes so that I keep my hours down enough so that I don't graduate.
Weren't you worried about losing your scholarship, or is that not in the thought process at the time?
We're going to get there. And so I'm like, screw it. And I vetted this. I talked to people about this, and they're like, in theory, it sounds great. We've never had anybody do it, but I think it's going to work. And I'm like, okay, great. So failed 3 classes. Oh, I think I failed 2 classes. And everyone was like, all right. So I came back to next fall and I signed up for 2 independent studies. So I didn't have to go to class. I just, check in once every 2 weeks with the professor, be good to go. So we have all this planned out. We're going through summer camp. We're gearing up for the first game against, we were playing Georgia Tech. No, we were playing Wake. And I'm walking in, I think it's the week of that game, and I'm walking into the locker room, and quarterback coach is there. A bunch of people are there. Like, come on. We go up there, like, you're not eligible to play. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, because your GPA was so low that last semester when you failed, you're not eligible.
Would you have to maintain like a 3.0 or 2.0?
No, 2 some. I mean, I don't know what it was. I mean, but I've got 2 Fs, so it wasn't good. And so I'm like, well, what's going to happen? Like, you guys said this was okay. Like, everyone cleared this. And so they were like, just go out and practice. Like, we're going to have to figure this out. And I mean, I think it was like Thursday before a Saturday game before it was finally cleared up. And I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden,
you do.
I was good to go.
Good.
And then I did not finish my independent studies.
So, do you have a degree?
I don't know. They sent me one.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
I got a piece of paper.
Yeah, it's 100% legit.
I mean, I was literally like, because it was like January or something, and like the class had already everything's done. And I was like, maybe I get a diploma, maybe not. I don't know. It came in the mail.
Of course it did. What year during college did you realize that you could have potential, or you have potential to go to the pros?
Before my junior year, before my 3rd year starting, after my sophomore year, going into my junior year, I was like, got a shot here.
Yeah.
Got a shot here.
Now,
and I had grown too. I grew in college.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was only like 6'1", 6'1.5", probably like 180 pounds when I came in. And I grew another couple inches. And then John Sisk was our weight room coach, and we all loved him. And I mean, he got us super strong. Like we were bigger, a lot bigger. So that obviously helps. So going in my junior year, I was like, 6'3", 220, 225, and I was like, got a shot here.
Yeah. Now, how does that whole transaction happen? Does your coaches come to you and say, hey, these scouts are looking at you?
The scouts just start showing up at practices.
Okay. So they're free reign to show up at practice, weightlifting, any of that, and watch you around the clock, essentially.
Yeah. And they're always talking to the coaches and stuff, and, what kind of guy is he? What kind of leader is he? What is he? How is he? Blah, blah, blah. So you get some feedback from your coaches. And then, I mean, now by then it was, kind of a big deal. Mel Kiper, ESPN, like they were ranking everybody. So you kind of had an idea of where you stood. And playing in the SEC obviously helped too, because, we were going against some bad dudes.
Where'd you live during college?
On campus, my first 3 years.
In dorms?
Dorms. Yeah. And then moved off campus. We lived in off Charlotte before it was nicer over there. Like, we're pretty sure it was like an old crack house. I mean, because we'd have people knocking on doors at all hours.
How many people did you live with?
5 guys.
You still keep in contact with any of them?
A lot of them, yeah. And that place, I think by the back door was broken by the end, so we just started like piling like furniture and stuff up in it. It was
Glorified heroin
Oh
den.
my gosh, it was so bad. Caught people like underneath the decks at times.
Just hanging out.
Just hanging out, man. Just living their life. Neighbors, cops are always at the neighbors across the street. I mean, it was interesting.
What were your go-to party spots here in Nashville?
Downtown wasn't a big thing.
What was it like back then?
It was, I mean, this was before the floods. Like there was no, very few places had a second floor. It was all just kind of one floor. And it was all, if you're going downtown, it was all on the left side for the most part.
Okay.
On the Tootsie's side, the Robert side. So it was kind of like that stage. It was right there. Other than that, there wasn't much. There was some on the right side, but nothing great. Tin Roof, Demumbrium, Jason Shear's place. That was the go-to spot. Dan McGinnis was at the top of the street. And then, Steve Ford's places. Winners was there. Losers was there. I'm not sure when Winners came in, but it was just Losers early on. And then Sam's, like Hillsborough Village down there, Sam's, Sportsman's. But it's a Vandy bubble. Like most people, like parties were just on campus for the most part.
But that was quite a bit of fun there.
Yeah, it was harder to get in trouble there.
So you go to the draft in 04, 05, and first round?
Yeah. Actually, 06.
You were sixth, first round? And to the Denver Broncos.
11th pick.
What did you feel about the Broncos? Were you excited?
They'd been in the AFC Championship the year before.
Yeah.
So Jake Plummer was there. So I was just going to watch him for a little bit and learn a little bit. It was an older team. Champ Bailey, John Lynch, Al Wilson, Jake, Rod Smith. It was an older veteran team. And Mike Shanahan was a coach. I mean, my first 3 years were amazing.
Now, does every team have its own culture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Some are good, some are bad. The good ones, like that team's culture was awesome. Like, those veterans, they ran the show, and Mike gave them enough leeway so that they kept guys in check. I've been on other teams that that the coaches lose it, and then the players take over, and it just goes bad.
It's a little mutiny. Yeah.
There's got to be that. You got to give them enough leeway but they still got to be able to respect the coach. I mean, they've got to look at him and be like, all right, that's our guy.
Yeah. What was your favorite football game? Your most favorite football game that you've ever played? It could be from 5th grade all the way through the Miami Dolphins.
My 6th grade year, we played in the championship, and we played at Castle Stadium. It was a high school stadium, and that was like the first time playing in front of it wasn't packed, but it was like a bigger high school stadium. And that was and we won the game, and like there was news crews there, like they did interviews after the game. So like you felt like, and we went and got pizza afterwards, and like the news was on, and like our interviews were up there, like listening to yourself. So
you got a Pizza Hut?
I think it was a local pizza place.
Remember the old school Pizza Huts? They had a salad bar. It was a fine establishment.
I mean, you could drive past the Pizza Hut right now, and you could pick out what it looks like. They didn't change.
It's now a bank, but
yeah, exactly.
It used to be a Pizza Hut.
Same roof.
So you go 6th in the first round. You go to the Broncos. Then you go to the Bears.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Mike got fired after our 3rd year. Got traded to the Bears, and then I was there for 8 years in Chicago. Had all 3 of the kids in Chicago. And then that kind of ran its course.
And you had John Fox most of the years, right?
No, had Lovey for most of the years.
Okay, that's right. John Fox, his old man was a team guy. Was a suit.
Yeah. He had a lot of respect for the military. He talked about it a lot.
Yeah, great guy.
Awesome dude. And then he left, and then we had another coach, and then I went down, then Adam Gase left, and I went down to actually John was my last coach there. Adam went down to Miami. Gase was coaching down there, and that's Tannehill tore his knee up like right before camp started, or actually during camp. So went down there to the Sunshine State.
Gorgeous.
That was. I mean, 95 in December. Like it was something else.
Where did you live in
Fort Lauderdale?
Miami? Okay.
Yeah, I live in Fort Lauderdale. It was good. Ownership was phenomenal. Facilities were great. If players wanted something, on call.
Was Dan Marino around a lot?
Dan was everywhere. Love that dude.
That's what Frank says. He just has an office in the building still, and just will pop in and hang out.
He would sit in the quarterback meetings.
Really?
Oh, he'd just come in there, watch film with us, hang out. Awesome, dude. Awesome, dude. I think there was I think something happened with him and Adam. Like he was gone for a little bit, but now he's back, which is good for that team.
Mm-hmm.
He was awesome. And then I was done there, came back to Nashville, and then, for a few years just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do next.
And then that brings us to in the timeline where Outsider started with you and Shannon. Could you walk me through that and how before I came on board?
Shannon kind of started it. He was he just sold 24/7. So he was looking to do something else. I mean, he created some amazing companies. And he came on outsider.com and when he told me, I was like, why does no one have that domain name? It started kind of creating this brand. And, it started off as more articles online. But then we kind of started getting away from that and wanted to do, podcasts, wanted to do more video stuff. Still keep some articles, but get, more Instagram, get outside a little bit more. And he was going the NIL stuff with On3. So he kind of went that way. I took Outsider, and now we're kind of, obviously brought you on, started talking to you about it because I knew that you were getting wrapping up the seals and needed something to do in some space. So I was like, you can come on, work with us. It'd be fun.
You downplay that quite a bit. You are the most selfless human being in the world. The opportunity that you've afforded me has changed my life, my family's life, everything about it. I'm truly, truly thankful. You're a great, great person. But one thing I'd like to talk about is, the parallels, I want to say in mindset, almost a tactician's mindset that you and I both have, and the parallels in between the NFL and the SEAL teams. And what really keeps drawing us, to each other, in my eyes anyway, is how much we think alike in almost all aspects of life. And it's mainly from a tactical lens, right? And I'll use a little caveat or vignette. We were in Big Sky doing Total Archery Challenge, and we went to park in the loading, unloading zone or the no parking zone.
It's frowned upon.
Yeah. So somewhere where, we weren't supposed to park, I don't think, and we see the parking guy out there and he's off to the right. Of course, I go left real quick and there's a big pickup truck and I back our Suburban that we have or whatever we're driving in. But you tell me I'm backing up and you tell me to stop. But I wasn't going to put our car further past that big truck we were next to. And then we both exit the vehicle and shut our doors fairly quietly, then leave towards the front of the vehicle. I'm like, man, this guy gets it. And I don't know if it's you look at everything through like a chess game and through a tactical lens, being a quarterback, and I did the same thing, growing up in the SEAL teams, but we have a very similar lens on life.
For sure. I think football, especially as a quarterback, once you get past the physical nature of it, that's just is what it is.
Yeah.
It does become a chess game of moving different pieces around and where the weak points are on the defense, where the weak points are in your plays too, where you're going to be hot, matchup situations. So it does become, I think, as you become older quarterback of you do look at it completely different than whenever I did early on playing.
I think it's very similar to the SEAL teams because when you first enter, you're a young man or just a shooter. You're just worried about the room in front of you, and you get the holistic picture, but you don't have the understanding of it, And then as you grow and in the SEAL teams and progress through the ranks, then it just to me it was just a game. Everything was just a game.
Yeah.
And it's moving your pieces on the chessboard, and I can relate it. I don't know much about football, but to a play, we have our plays, and if you see something, and when you're about to run a play and it doesn't look like it's going to make sense, boom, you call a quick audible, right? And it's how well you deal with contingencies more so than how well you could plan.
Yeah, I think it's an awareness thing too.
Yeah,
your spatial and social awareness is just through the roof. It has to be because I mean, you guys are literally life or death here. So if you're not aware, if you're not you're not on it, like bad things happen. And I think in today's world, people are I mean, they're like this 24/7,
oblivious.
So like
my biggest pet peeve is the lack of situation awareness.
Oh, their awareness is just. Like getting on the airplane or getting off an airplane. It's just like, you're not the only one on this plane.
You will never wait for me in the TSA line.
Absolutely not.
I am the most efficient dude going through that line.
My ID's out. I have my phone with my ticket on it just in case you need that. Bags are already done. My jacket's off. Like, I'm ready to go.
Does your heightened sense of awareness ever bug you?
Yeah. It's a problem.
Bugs the shit out of me sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I used to have an issue with, like a major issue with, is Katie bumping into me. And a lot of times it happens in the kitchen, because it's a condensed area and everyone's turning. But she would bump into me and I would just go in the red. And like, I'm here. You see the spoon in my hand. I just got done doing dishes.
Yeah.
I'm going to that drawer over there, right? And like, why can't you connect the dots? And she's like, oh, I just wasn't thinking about it. That used to bug the shit out of me. But now I'm slowly working through it. But,
I mean, my list is this long of what bugs me.
Yeah.
I mean, airport obviously is a problem. People driving now is just, it's absurd.
Well, you also drive like a maniac.
I don't.
No, you'd go quickly.
Yeah, efficiently. I have a place. I have a place that I'm trying to get to, and I'm gonna get there.
Could be the most dangerous thing I do on a monthly basis these days is ride with you, but I've never crashed, so it all works out. But I relate it back to what bugs me. Like the instance of bumping into Katie in the kitchen is. You watch everything everyone does in your SEAL platoon, and if someone was constantly bumping into somebody in the kill house, like this guy doesn't get it. He doesn't know what's happening two rooms down, and he can't project where everyone is going. So he's just kind of lost, right? Yeah. So I've had to break that mindset and just kind of be more, of course, easy going. But I
mean, as a quarterback, like unfortunately, like. Most of the time, like you need 6 to 8 guys to do their job before you can do yours.
Yeah.
So like you have to be aware of like, did he do his job? Did they do their job? Did they do their job? Also, what's the defense doing? So it's hard to turn that switch off, I think.
I'm sure this has happened. Have you ever watched someone on the O-line or whoever that like they have a strategic block that they need to do, and before the ball is hiked, you look down and he's going to miss that assignment and you're going to get smoked?
Oh, yeah.
What's the hardest you've ever been hit? And do you remember who it was?
Yeah. Gosh, who the hell were we playing? It was in college.
Really?
Yeah. I've gotten hit here, stitches a few times, but this kid, I want to say we were playing like Eastern Kentucky or somebody like that. And I saw him coming. Two came off like Sam and Mike came off the edge, and we only had enough to block one, so they take the inside guys closer. And we had slants or something going, and I'm just literally just waiting for that, and he's just coming. And he was a DB. I mean, he was a nickel, like 180, 190 pounds maybe. But I let it go like right before, and this was before there were any rules that they are today. And he put his helmet right here. I mean, I thought it cracked my sternum.
Really?
Oh my gosh, it hurt so bad. I remember that one. I did break my ribs in Miami. That one hurt a lot too. That one hurt more so afterwards. Like in the moment when that kid hit me, I thought I was dead.
Now, when you broke your ribs, is that just a helmet to the side, or did you fall on somebody?
No, he kind of, I forget who it was. I kind of got wrapped up, and then he kind of landed on me, and like I don't forget how it was, but he kind of landed on me, and it got cracked in here or something. That was that one sucked.
Do you play the next week?
I think I missed 1 week.
Okay. And there's nothing anybody could do for a broke rib, right?
No, you just cough, shit, it hurts, breathe, it hurts. And they went and they did an MRI, and it's like, don't move. And I'm just like, I can't, like, get me out. Like, it's broken. I don't care. Like, let's just move on here.
So
what do we got going forward with Outsider? What's
just about to ask you.
Okay.
So Outsider, we're developing some new products right now. I'm going to have some more drinkware coming out. So full lineup of drinkware. Working on a backpack cooler. I have the second prototype at the house now. I've been messing with all weekend. So we're fine tuning all of that. It should be out early summer time frame. And then continue the podcast and then get outside. So this year, let's see, we have turkey season coming up quickly. Might have Josh Fields down for the podcast and a little weekend turkey hunt he's interested in.
Yep.
And then shortly following that, we have possible trip to Africa.
Possible Africa trip. We've got we got bear in Montana.
Spring bear, yeah. And what month is that?
End of May, middle of May to June.
Because we went a little early last year.
Yeah, I think we need to go a little bit later this time.
Yeah.
Well, I think it just depends on the snow too.
Yeah.
There was still a bunch of snow out there then.
And then we'll progress quickly into some total archery challenges. They actually moved the one in in Tennessee to Georgia. Okay. So we're not going to have a booth at that one, but we will have a booth at the one in Big Sky. And I think the Field Ethos guys are going to join us in our booth there.
Awesome.
So that'll be a good time. And then roll right into archery for elk.
Yep.
And hopefully I draw a tag this year.
Perfect.
And we'll rinse and repeat. I think it's up to you, but I think we should rinse and repeat last year. Maybe bring Josh out, get some calling, get him going on the calls, and because that was very successful. And then roll into archery at your ranch in Kentucky. Then see where the rest of the year takes us.
Yeah.
I know we got some other shit in there that I'm forgetting.
Get some summer stuff too. Get out on the lake a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe go visit our friend Jason Shear down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Do a little fishing down there with him.
Hitting the Masters for my 40th birthday.
Masters for your 40th. We'll be down there. So just trying to create some content for you guys that'd be fun. And if anybody that's a fan of Outsider wants to, any recommendations on who we should have on the podcast or anything fun and cool we're missing outside or, get-togethers, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Good little first one. Like I said, we're going to be Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Stuff's going to be on our social media stuff, our Facebook stuff. Check us out at outsider.com. Sam's on Instagram too now, so you can go find him.
Going viral real quick. I think I have about 540 followers now. I'm on the verge of 10,000 though. It's gonna
take off in a hurry. But this will be out. This podcast will be out soon. We've got some really cool guests coming up, and like I said, if you have anybody that you want us to talk to, let us know in the comments or hit us up on Instagram.
Or any subjects you want us to cover. This is going to be a very easygoing, open forum podcast. We're willing to talk about anything, so we're very interested in what you guys want to hear.
Cool. Enjoy, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thanks.